we will start. We were supposed to have more people on it, but we will record it, and I'm sure people want to see it after. So, hi everyone. Thank you for being there. Really appreciate. I had the chance to receive an email from Domenic to ask me if he could do a conference because I have asked him before, and I'm really happy to have him on board today. So Domenic, I've worked with Domenic in Calgary with Hockey Canada, and he made a great presentation when I was there. So I really enjoy it, and I found it really interesting. So Domenic is working with the Stockton Heat in the AHL, and he has worked with Calgary in the same time. He's a great speaker. So thank you, Domenic, for being there. If anybody has some question, you can ask it during the conference by typing it in conversation, or you can also, if you want, just maybe you put your sound on, but maybe it's easier with the conversation. I will ask to Domenic. So thank you, Dom, and I'll let you start. And enjoy, everyone.
Okay, thanks, Alex. So again, I apologize. Alex had asked me earlier to do a presentation, and it took me a while to get it back around to it, but happy now to be able to follow through for it, and hopefully you guys can get some benefit of the presentation. So as Alex mentioned, I'm an assistant coach with Calgary's farm team in Stockton, and obviously our goal in Stockton is to be able to develop guys to be able to play at the next level. A little bit of background information on myself as well. I have 3 kids that play. They play hockey and they play in San Jose. I played AAA in San Jose with the girls program there. So just a little bit of background that, I've got my day job working in Stockton, but also this is important as far as developing my own kids in the programs that I help in California. So just to start, so things to consider when working on skill development. So just to give you an idea how we define success, and that kind of frames how we decide what to work on. So for us, obviously at the pro level, in Calgary, they defined the success of winning games. To be able to win the Stanley Cup, obviously, it's the ultimate goal. How do you win games? Obviously, to score more goals than the other team. And then, if you take that down, boil it down a little bit more, it ultimately comes down to chances. So to be able to create chances, to be able to stop the other team from creating them. And so that's basically an analytic that we use to be able to determine, hey, this player can do this or can do that. Are they a liability, or can they create these types of chances? At the end of every game, we'll sit down as a staff and go over all the chances for, all the chances against, and then we'll have a primary and then secondary chance helpers, and then on the other side to be able to for chances against. So that's to give you a little bit of idea what a chance is. So this is what a scoring chance is for us. And again, this comes from our analytical department in Calgary. So any shot that comes from within this house, as you can see that I've marked here, that's considered a chance. And the one caveat to that is that it can't be considered a bad goal. So if somebody's coming, in this area and they kind of snap a puck on the net and it's the goalie has to make a save. Well, yeah, it's a shot from within the house, but if it went in, we wouldn't be very happy with it. So it can't be considered a bad goal. Now, I will say that we've had lots of conversations in our coaching office about, one-timers from around this area. Hey, that's a chance. Like that's, but they compare, the analytics department compares all the teams from the whole league. And so from just to be able to clarify and have a line, this is their criteria. So if you go look into, skills to create and skills to defend. So on the plus side, you talk about, obviously skating, and skating is multifaceted. So you're talking about overspeed, you're talking about small area agility, You can think of all the different ways. Transition, there's multiple different types of skills that follow within that category. Puck protection, again, whether you're stalling or creating deception, like there's subcategories of all these. And on, obviously there's shooting, which would be on, you could add onto the positive side to be able to create. On the defensive side, again, skating, being able to keep on top of your check, transition skating, defensive detail, whether it's getting hips in front of it. I'm sure we can all think of those different types of skills. If I break down the puck protection again, so that now you can look and and I'm sure there's other details that you can think about in puck protection. If I take a portion of puck protection, which is skills or create separation, if I break that down even further, you can see there's deception and how you're just, deceptive with your stick, with your body, with your feet, right? Speed, again, your feet, your hands. And again, these are all different. I'm not going to get into these details, but you can see of all the different ways to be able to improve puck protection. But the one thing that's not here, and is what I want to talk about, is I think it's a crucially important piece that if you don't have this, well, none of this really matters, is awareness. And it is the awareness. And to me, it is the underlying theme for all skill development is when are we going to be able to implement those different details. So, I've got a little bit of a soccer background, and I was watching this presentation by Arsene Wenger, and for those who don't know, he coached Arsenal for a long time. I don't know how long, super successful coach. And this is a quote from him. "The problem in football is that you learn how to play the wrong way around. First execution, then decision-making, and perception last." So I would agree, because I find I get a lot of players that are very, very good, that have a lot of skill, but not the ability to know when to use it. So it's almost like they've done a lot of these skills in a vacuum, right? So to be able to do the skills, like why are they doing it, and to be able to right when they start doing the skill, to be able to implement what are they reacting to, I think is huge. He goes on to say, and one of the skills for awareness is scanning. So then he goes on to say, the better players scan the field 6 to 8 more times than the other players. So to me, this is a vital skill. And how they figured that out is that they during a practice that they had, they put cameras up around the stadium, and basically they just, every time a player was scanning or checking the shoulder, they obviously noted it. And the better players did it 6 to 8 more times. So you can think about the better players are the ones that be able to react to their environment. That's what made the players better, not necessarily the player's skill, but just that their awareness of their surrounding. So just an example here. So again, let me just put down the volume here. Sorry about that. So this is Frank Lampard. He's a coach now for Chelsea, but he was considered one of the best players in the world. He played for the English national team. And this is just an example of, I just want you to just to notice, right? He's scanning, he's checking his surrounding. Like it's uncanny actually how many times you can see this player looking around to see basically the time and the space that he has, his teammates, the opposition. Okay, so, but it's one thing to scan, right? But what are you looking for? I think about, we brought this concept, or tried to bring attention to this concept to our players in Stockton, and it was kind of a running joke that how many times they were looking around. But it's one thing to look, but it's another thing to realize what you're looking for. Like, what are the things you're looking for? It's one thing to check your shoulder, but what are you really looking for? One of those things is time. And now I'm going to go through some different clips, just as an example. So time. So in this clip here, you can see this puck's put around behind the net. This is Tkachuk here, has an awareness of his time, right? So he recognizes that he has time to be able to make a play. Now he's able to make a play back to the top, and now he's able to continue the play. This isn't a complicated play, but if he doesn't have this awareness of where the opposition is or the time that he has, he's not able to make the play. Space is another one. Okay, so here's a player for Calgary here coming back into the defensive zone, does a good job, shoulder checks initially. Play comes back into the zone. And now said player basically gets the puck, right? Space. Where's the space? There has to be an awareness of where the space is on the ice. So this particular player, he gets it, and now he skates and doesn't make any movement to the space that he has. And this particular player can skate. There's probably one of the better players in terms of that. But he's able to just be able to turn, and then now he's able to be stripped by a player. And I'm sure you're familiar with Samuel Girard, not a big guy, small, but is able to have an awareness and has a good stick and is able to be able to take in consideration the time and the space that the player has and doesn't even need to lay a body on him and just touches it. Okay, another example here. So this puck is going to come, again, you can see to Chuck here again, looking for options. This puck comes into the middle, realizes he has time, puts it in. And so now 28 Lindholm, right? Recognizing the space that he has. This is a 1-on-2. Realistically, it's a worse situation than the last clip. But this player has an awareness of his time, of his space. He's waiting for his teammates, right? And he doesn't make a difficult play, but he makes a smart play. And now all of a sudden they're on offense on the other side. If there's not that recognition of either of those, he's not going to be able to make that play. Okay. Talked about Samuel Girard. Another example of him. Again, he's going into the corner against a much bigger player, and yet you can see by taking in his time into his space, right? Recognizes he's able to turn, protect the puck again, and then now all of a sudden he's able to make a play out of the zone. That's not skill. That's time and awareness of those in consideration, and has enabled him to make a play. The other thing is teammates. I'm sure a lot of you watched Last Dance. I thought it was great being able to go over and take a look at it. Right? Where are your teammates? Okay. Beef man for Calgary here. Now he's looking for the middle, looking for his teammates, right? Not aware right now. Might have been able to make that play right initially. Okay. But doesn't make the play. Okay. Checks for the D. And again, the D does a great job. As soon as he's not looking, he jumps in. And this player here, not able to have an awareness of his teammates, right? He's trying to look to try to make this play through. He gets into a position where this player here does a good job of taking this lane away, ends up throwing it away. And now all of a sudden it turns out into a scoring chance against. Again, not an overly skilled play, but there's an awareness and of the time, of the space, of the opposition, which enables these guys to be able to play at that level and to make these plays. The other one is opposition, the awareness of your opposition. Okay, and I'm going to run through this. So Goudreau for Calgary here makes a great play, kind of throws it back. Okay, but he's not able to make that play. And again, he is feeling when this player can't make a turn back to the other side. This isn't a complicated play. He's not saucering a puck. He's not toe dragging. He's not doing any of these things, but he's realizing the time and the space that he has. He's realizing this player is committing, and then he rolls his feet over, rolls his hand over to space. So again, you can see he is looking, and he's not, and this happens so quickly. Like I'm slowing this down and I'm pausing it. Like this happens in a heartbeat. So Johnny has had numerous reps at being able to feel when a D is committed one way or the other. If you slow it down, you see that the moment the D-man starts to cross his feet, and I'll play this in slow motion, as he comes in and realizes that his feet are committed, he starts to put the puck back into space. But this happens in an instant. And this is from years and years and years of being able to realize when Ds are committed, when they're come the other way. So, and then he's able to put the puck back into space. But as you can see, it's not a complicated play. Just to work on just this pass of passing it through isn't going to make Johnny better. He can make that play. But what is going to make the player better is understanding of when players commit, when they can put puck back into space. And so that's just, if you don't start with that initial awareness when they're younger, when they're smaller, then they're not going to be able to get to this level where they're able to manipulate players as they get older. Another example here, great example here. Okay, odd man rush against. You've got, I believe it's Landeskog coming up through the wall. Again, he's looking to make this pass through the middle. He realized he has an odd man rush. He's looking and realizing this defenseman, am I going to make it through? He knows the stick is coming, right? And there he is. Sticks come, and now, again, it's not a complicated play to put this through the stick, but it's a complicated read, and it comes from being able to realize what the D is trying to do, manipulate your time, manipulate your space, and now this puck comes through on the other side, and then McKinnon makes a great play to go back the other way. Okay, you'll see it in a little bit closer here. Again, Brody's coming. You can see eyes up here. If I back this clip up a little bit, you can see even McKinnon. He's watching to see his time and space on Giordano as he comes. So again, he's anticipating one play ahead to make sure that he's not coming. So as I said, and again, this pass is through, and then it's just a quick touch through to the other side one time. And again, McKinnon realizes this is a one-timer off the other side. The defenseman is not committed here. I realize this play has got to get over. Again, this all comes down to awareness. These skills per se, if I just worked on these skills in isolation in a vacuum with no opposition, they're not going to help them be able to make this skill in the game. So the importance of working in the awareness piece is crucial. So as I say, I go back to that initial slide. You can look at all these different skills that are important for puck protection. But if you don't have the awareness, you're not going to know when to be able to use these. So if I, just in summary of that kind of section, these are all intertwined. Your teammates, your opposition, your time and your space, they all play a factor. And so to be able to be working on skills where those are consideration is a big thing. Alex, any questions at this point?
No, it's going well. No question. If there's someone, you can write it down.
Okay.
That's great.
All right. Perfect.
Thanks.
So how to improve awareness, right? How as coaches, how can we improve that? So I won't get into this first one here. Vision and mobility. We live close to the Bay Area, and Steph Curry is in the news all the time. And you know, he has these glasses on. I think I've seen some of our guys use them. They basically shutter out every once in a while to be able to, so it improves hand-eye and ability. So the physical nature or the physiology of the body being able to improve your vision. As I say, I'm not going to get into it, but I think that's a way that you can improve it. Obviously, your mobility to be able to turn and to be able to be in a position to be able to turn and to see everything's around you. As I say, I'm not going to get into that, but that's definitely a way to help it. But how you adapt to your environment and adapting to your environment, and that is what the second piece, and that is so important to be able to improve your awareness. So another soccer reference, I apologize. Pep Guardiola, one of my favorite coaches to look at in other sports. I've read a couple of his books, and he talks about, and again, he's, obviously has some influence, but the rondo game that he plays basically has it incorporated throughout his training, and he has different ways of going about it. So basically, Ron, it's basically like, we've done it in hockey. You put a player in the middle and you pass it around the outside, basically, what it is, but the concepts within it. And now he'll change different concepts within the rondo depending on what he's trying to incorporate. Here's an example, and I'll make sure I've got the sound turned up for this one. And I want you to listen and just and this is Bayern Munich. So this is one after he was in Barcelona, he went to Bayern Munich, and that's him standing here, the only guy with the toque on. But So for like, to me, it's like, I'm just like, it's impressive, right? Obviously they're able to one touch the ball around. But what you hear in the background, and I don't know, is that you hear somebody counting in German, and that's Pep counting in German. And they would do up to 30. So there would be a competition. And so the players would try to get up to 30. And you can hear him literally counting up to 30 in German to be able to get. So there's so many skills that are involved just in that piece. And so we've tried to implement that into our practice at times. And I run the power play. And so this is just an example of that. Again, we put constraints. And so the constraints of this game is, we've got pylons here. So there's sorry for my bad X, but it's basically they've got to stay within this area. There's 4 players on 2, and we'll change the constraints of the game. So I believe this game that we did, we basically said, okay, you can only touch the puck twice, and it has to be a one-timer. Our focus here is on working on the power play, obviously, and you can see some guys are unable to count as some guys start touching it a little bit more than that, but you can see the concept. And as initially you can see, it's a little bit slow, a little bit deliberate, but as it picks up, you can see, and I'm not sure what time of the season this is, but I think, and I wish I would have got one. You can see that's somebody wasn't very good at school, more than 2 touches, but you can see that there's being able to think one step ahead. There's all different types of things as far as body position, as far as deception, as all these types of things. And then you can talk about on the defensive side. Now, the defensive guys in these scenarios here are a little bit passive, but you can even incorporate some of the defensive side as far as taking lanes away, right? So just an example of in practice of getting players work with consideration, time, and space. And then we've got a game. Okay, sorry, I got to put down the volume again. Just a game that you can see some of the touch passing, touch. Now it comes back to the other side, being translated into the game in regards to some of that, quick touch passing and guys getting into areas. Okay. A book that I'd like to bring up, and it's an important point on this one. Again, the thumbs up there from Alex, is The Inner Game of Tennis. And I think, I was guilty of this, and probably still am at times, of trying to manipulate one piece of a player's, whether it's their elbow or their stick, trying to teach them a skill, instead of, like, the body is complex, and starting to not to overthink it, and be able to, like, the psychology of just being able to worry about the outcome of the puck being flat, or worrying about, as opposed to being able, like, oh, you need, your elbow up this way. So there's a quote, and the last part of it, calculation, which is the miscalculation, sets in, basically talking about that, the point in time when you start to overthink things, it becomes difficult and your body gets robotic, and that athleticism is basically overrun. So an example I'd like to use with this was clear to me. So I have 3 daughters, and 2 of them shoot right. I shoot left. So trying to show them how to shoot a puck, take a snapshot, and I'm showing them left, and I'm seeing them shoot right. And in my head, I'm telling them all the points, and I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, this doesn't work. So I started to try to teach myself how to shoot the other way. And so even just passing. And so I start to pass. So I started to try to teach myself, okay, I'm going to put somebody there, and I'm going to pass on my forehand. And what I realized is that I was so worried about my technique on the other side, is that as soon as I paid attention to where I was passing to and starting to get better of my feel, all of a sudden now it started to improve for me. So it just really resonated on worrying about, like, not so much worrying about their technique, like, they'll figure it out. Like, their body will adjust to, like, just like me passing the wrong way. Like, my body would adjust. I could see, like, when I was passing, I was way off. So now I automatically adjusted my elbow. I saw the puck was wobbling. So I started to cup the puck more, right? Like, I think that there's that part of it that's crucially important of letting them time to figure out and to undercoach, if that makes any sense. Because I know I was definitely, responsible or guilty of the overcoaching side of it. The other point that I had to improve awareness is just the consistency of habits. So I put Mark Giordano in this here. I was was fortunate enough to be able to be on the coaching staff a couple of years in Calgary and to see the day-to-day, just the detail, but just the consistency of his habits, right? And it was amazing that how consistent he was, whether it was and I'll show some examples, some clips, going back for pucks, or whether it was shoulder checking, whatever it was. To me, he's still getting better. The fact that he won a Norris at age whatever it was speaks to him consistently getting better. So here's a couple of examples here. So here's a D. I've spot shadowed a D. He's going to go back for this puck and just going to get him, make a pass, like simple drill, right? So I'll show the differences. So here's a more experienced D, played time in the NHL. He's going to go back, grab the puck, and throw it. So first thing that stands out for me, the differences is, and I can go back to the first clip, is he's shoulder checking right here, right? You can see he's on his head. He's looking to this side of the ice. And there's nobody coming from this side of the ice. They know the drill, but it's the habit in which he's enabling himself. And this you'll see, there's a couple more with him, and it's consistent. The next thing is there's no dust when he makes this pass. So now this player is getting this puck here. If I go back to the last clip, okay, there's no shoulder check, player coming, one touch, right? And it's subtle. It's a subtle difference. But this overhandling or dust of the puck. So now this player is getting this pass here, as opposed to in the other clip, he's getting it here. This is a suicide pass. This is a player getting a pass with time, with space. Small details, but to be able to be consistent on those details will make the difference. Another example here. D going back for the puck. Gets it. Okay. When he makes this pass, right? A little bit slow to get to his forehand. When he makes this pass, not far off the wall, right? He's doing the drill, right? He made a pass. It's tape to tape. Should be no problem, right? But the difference is that when you have somebody that has good habits and purpose, now he's quick to get it on the wall. You can see it's only the difference of this much, but now he has this puck in the middle. This player is going to get the puck in an earlier position. If in a game he has the puck, it's already loaded. He's loaded it quick. He's able to make a play to either side of the ice. Again, these are details and these are habits that will enable you to, once you get to a game, will make it easier. Will give you that extra time to be able to have the awareness of the time and the space. Another example here, same D-man here, puck comes in on the forehand shot. Same idea on the other side, puck comes in, pushes it, heads up, shot, right? Seems simple. Now the other side, one dust and shot. So it seems like a small detail and a habit, but it makes all the difference from getting a shot away from here as opposed to being a shot over here. And now just that one dust, maybe there's a guy open at the back door. Maybe there's an opening to shoot it through. Maybe the guy in the shot lane now, instead of being here, now he's here and now he's in your lane. These are all small details, and if done consistently, are going to help you with that. But again, it's the habit of consistently doing it, and to be able to have those habits, to be able to have your kids or your players or your pros to be able to do them is crucial. But it's again, it takes work. On the forward side here, again, you've got a forward coming in. Right? Just a normal drill, come in. Okay. Again, come in. Right? No change in shot angle. Right? No change in deception or release. Okay. And then now you've got this player comes in and it's a subtlety, but now he's pulling that puck. Right? Same player coming in. Okay. And so if I had to tell you the goal totals for those three players, the last player, which I showed that changing shot angle, led our team in scoring. The other two players, I won't say how many they got, but they didn't get anywhere close as much. Do they have the same shot? For sure. But it was the habits of the one player. Every time he shot the puck, he was changing shot angle, regardless of the drill, whether it was a warm-up drill or whatever it was. So signs of a good pro or a good career learner: consistency, right? You can see the consistency on the one player every single time. And again, we film our practices, and I was, with COVID and all the time that we had, I was able to go back and to look at some of the details that I probably wouldn't have had the time to do. You see right away, the players that had the success were the ones that were consistent, that were efficient, and they over the long term, they had intent. So a way to improve awareness is definitely to be able to have the habit. I've talked about the physical things, but have them working in an environment, and then to have them their habits, right? The consistency, the efficiency, and the intent. The next thing that I'd like to talk about is, can you make the next play? So you have the awareness piece, which is critically important. But I think of when we're doing a skill, I think you have to ask yourself the question, can they make the next play? And because when I say that is, the environment in the game is constantly changing. So if I'm teaching a player to, and we're working on cutbacks, let's say, and the player's coming down the wall and he cuts back, and every time I have him doing it, he just has it, he cuts back and he drives, and the puck is in a position where it's too much to the inside or to the outside, and he can only do what I'm prescribing him to do, as opposed to being able to, if I were somehow to change the end goal, now he can adjust to it. So I see that a lot. And I'm going to show some examples of guys that if I put them in a vacuum and I tell them, cut down the wall, I want you to cut back and drive off the seam and shoot, perfect. They can do it to perfection. But if I have them reacting and I have them come down the wall and cut back, and then now I have to get them to react the other way, and then get them to pass or shoot, they're unable to do it. So I think you have to ask yourself a question, can he make the next play? So that comes down to body position, where's the puck, and where it is on the ice. Again, it's a piece of awareness. So this is me with our guys. And again, we're up in the neutral zone, because I think a big piece of that is their ability, as I said, to be in an athletic position, to be able to, whether it's to take somebody on or to make a play. So, because a lot of times you'll see guys will overlean, guys will have the puck out in an unrealistic position, and they're not able to make the next play. All they're able to do is to be able to make the initial play, which they started to make. But if there's something that changed in the environment, like for instance, someone falling down or a player gets open, they can't make that next play, and they find themselves either losing the puck or having to scrum it up or having to pass it off or be able just to chuck it somewhere. So as you can see in this one here, we're just going through just this basic foundational thing of being able just to be able to basically just to hold it, have a strong base, but be able to have the puck in a position where it's off to the side. So if I wanted to cut back, I could cut back. If I'm puck protecting, I'm puck protecting. If I wanted to drive and shoot, the puck's in a position where I can do that. So here's a progression now. Now we're kind of progressing. Guys coming off the wall, and again, my directions to them is that I want you moving your feet, and I want the puck in an area where it's protected, where I can cut back. And you can see, even in something as quick as this, players are coming and it's exposed. There's no chance for this player to be able to. If I was standing there, I would be able to knock it off. So it's something we definitely need to work on. And you could say, this player here, again, great skater, but again, exposing the puck. So then the next progression is just the cutback. And again, these are simple, but I think they really get the players working on that foundational piece, right? You can see some guys are better at it than others, right? Again, I'm telling them, they know when they're going to turn back, right? And then the last one is reactive. Now this player does a great job of it, right? Being able to go back. But again, you can see this player, the puck's exposed. Puck's exposed this whole time. And well, yes, he's doing the drill. I would argue he probably can't make the next play. You can see in practice, one of the players here, and right, makes a cutback, but now look, the puck's exposed, and now he can't make the next play because the puck is off his stick. So again, asking that question, can the next play be made? Sorry. Okay. Example here. Okay, Lindholm again, right? Just a simple play, right? But he can definitely make the next one. He's coming in at this point here. There's a faking of a shot. He's changing to his environment. He's got a player now that's on him. Now he makes this play back. Again, the puck's in an area where now he can manage it, and now he's able to take advantage of this player jumping in, and now he makes a play, right? So again, can they make the next play? So how can we help them with that, right? How can we help them? So obviously we talked about the daily use, practice, reminders, putting pressure on it into the game, right? Or into practice. And I'm going to show you that there in a little bit. And then use your practice for the analysis. We started videotaping our practices to be able to see where guys were, where their shortcomings were. And again, we've had more time than we normally would, obviously, with everything going on. But it was such a great tool to be able to see of how we can get ourselves better. So some of the ways to be able to have pressure on in practice. And again, I'm sure you guys already do some of this, but these even just simple drills. So here's just a 2-on-1 drill. Okay, quick to the net. And now this is a neutral zone chase. Just applying pressure, right? So the D now has to make a call one way, or make a read one way or the other. And then now this 2-on-1. And even just this little bit of back pressure now changes what it looks like from these guys coming back. So now, again, this coach isn't going to catch him, but now these players have to make a more realistic type of play to be able to be put in those situations. I think that being put in those situations where they have to make the read, super important. Okay, another example of just a quick play, using the players as the pressure, just a quick little play. Again, trying to get them, putting it on their backhand, putting it on their forehand to be able to get them to make those quick little plays, crucial. Obviously, the small area game's important. We started by the small area games, getting guys to think. That seems to be pretty standard. I think everybody kind of is in agreement there. So, last thing for you, did you hit the sweet spot? And I think that this, as a coach, has been one of the things that is most important for me. With whether I deal with my daughter's team, whether I deal with U17 when I work with them, whether I deal with the pros, is did I hit the sweet spot? Did they want another rep? Were they engaged to the point where they're like, hey, go one more, come on, one more, right? Because at that point, you've got it. And hey, I'll be honest with you, there's been times when earlier in my career where I was dismissive. I'm like, oh, this guy doesn't want to play. Right? I think we've all probably done that. So I think that this is an important question. Were they being competitive? Were you happy with the intensity? Because you'll know right away if you've hit the sweet spot, if you've kind of can check these boxes. And at the end of the day, it's up to us. It's up to us as a coach to be able to control that environment. So that's all I got. Alex, if there's any questions, I'll take those now. Get a drink of water here
Yeah, no problem. You went really quick, and it was really interesting. And I like the end with did they want another rep, because it's so important. It shows when kids or anyone's having fun, they will learn for sure.
100%. I think, if one thing about COVID's taught me anything with my own kids is that if the fun's not there, and I knew it before, but there definitely has to be that element of, that they want another rep. And so it's just trying to find that. Did you hit the sweet spot? Did you find the special sauce?
Yeah. Sometimes we want to push them with high intensity, but if they don't have fun, they won't remember it. So
yeah, agreed. Agreed.
People, if you have some question, you can unmute or just write it down. There's no problem. I like the way we see it. You show with the clips and you practice, you film your practice, and it's really, really interesting because it's so useful. I think we can see all the weaknesses of our team or our player in practice most of the time.
Yeah. And to be honest with you, you see their engagement, right? Like we had, over the course of the year, because obviously there's, only so many hours in the day, and, to be able to look and to see, I mean, how's the player's engagement? What was it like if I took the middle of the year as opposed to the beginning of the year? And you can see, like, it's not coincidental that the players that were constantly getting better were the ones that were engaged, that were constantly pushing for to try to make the next play, that weren't just going through the motions of a drill. They were actually trying to work within that drill to try to push the boundaries of it, right? And you see it. It's not by coincidence. I'll stop. Should I stop screen share here?
Yeah, no problem.
I can stop that. Yeah.
Perfect. So, any question for everyone? Dominic, I'll share it to the people. Oh, we have something in the conversation. Can you show the 2-on-1 clip again with the player at the blue line and the one player down in the corner with a drop pass along the side
Sure.
wall?
Yeah, sure.
From Todd.
Yeah. Okay. You guys see that again?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is the clip here? This is the 2-on-1?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So this one here, we've done it a couple different ways. So it just starts obviously with the puck here, and then there's just a little bit of a cross. And again, we've done it different ways where we'll limit, whether they have to, cross and drop, or whether it's this guy can attack and this guy can come from the bottom. Like you can change the variables of that a little bit. And then it's whistle, obviously a puck spot into this area. Now the D goes back and retrieves it. These guys come up and the D comes up this way. And then, obviously you make the play. At this point here, whistle will come from the other side, and then they'll come the other way. Let's see if I have, hold on one second. I can flip over to the other screen, but I could show the other side going back the other way.
Simple drill, but pressure is so important.
Yeah. As I say, it's just, and again, I've done it. I've done this drill when there hasn't been pressure, and it just, the intent. You look at the intensity and just the type of drills that are done are the type of execution and skill isn't game like. You're not getting the maximum benefit, I guess.
Todd said thanks.
Problem.
So, all right. So thank you, Dominic. Really appreciate. Oh, Alex.
Yep.
Yeah, some people are saying, what do you work on with your D's in D zone? Are there any details or habit? Do you prefer bear hug in board battle?
Yeah, no, I think with the game, with the way that the game's going, and again, there's a lot of different, ways to do it. The way we try to teach it, you try to stick with a short little cross check, but then you're trying to get as much as you can. You try to stick on puck. Our biggest concern is the feet and be able to get your feet into position, but the stick on puck is huge for us, whether going up or down. Obviously, you want to try to disrupt a little bit with a little bit of a cross check to make you know that you feel there. What we find is that to overcommit, to be able to, if it's a bear hug and you put the other stick on the other side, I teach our forwards, if there's a stick on the other side, I would skate into the arm. I tell them, like, we work on that. I said, because at that point, it's tough if the player has one or two options. You can either let go of his stick or he can grab you, right? And a lot of times we've gotten a lot of power plays based on that, just because you limit yourself what you're able to do. So, D's are not, I was showing clips of Samuel Girard. He does a great job of keeping his feet in front with stick on puck, being able to influence guys one way or the other, and to be able to be, feet wise in front of his player. And as I say, it's he's not a big guy, and as you can see, he's pretty effective.
It's crazy, Dom, because 2 weeks ago, we talked with Lauzon from Boston, and all the coaches were trying to eliminate the Bearhoogs from their game in Boston. So the guys was coming from Providence, the NBA, and it was really a weaknesses for D-man about the Bearhog. So it was interesting to hear about it. And I talked with Sam Girard because I had a conference with him in private, and also he's just about his stick on the puck, and you don't want to compromise with the Bearhog. So it's a great question.
Yeah. And with, to be honest with you, we talk about it even with forwards playing down low to be able to have stick on puck. You might not be able to get on it, but what you'll force them to do is to try to elevate it. And so when players are trying to elevate it, hey, there's some players that can make that play for sure, but it's a more difficult play to make. And it gives, that extra split second of time to be able for players to react. So there's a couple different reasons to really have that, stick on puck and have your feet moving.
We have another question. Can you review the rules for the 4-on-2 power play game that was based on the Rondo soccer drill, please?
Sure. I'll go back to the clip. So, and again, we'll change the constraint. We'll change the rules as we go. But we'll basically, I'll run it for 30 seconds at a time. And so I'll have two groups. So we have a red unit, we have a white unit. And depending on if the head coach wants to include the whole team, but for the most part, we'll just have those two groups. We'll basically say you've got 30 seconds or as many pucks as I'll put in. And sometimes I'll change that and try to say, hey, you get 5 pucks, right? But what I found is that if I give a limit on the pucks, then guys hold on to it a little bit longer. So as many pucks as you want and 2 touch. So basically you can touch it once and you can touch it twice. And I can go further in the clip. There's actually, when the white unit gets on here, they were really good. They were legit. There were some pretty good players here. And you can see once this comes in, you can see this player here on the bottom. Once he gets it, he'll make 1 touch and then to stop it. And then the next one will be to be able to make a decision. You can see it's starting to roll. So again, it's 2 touch. And then sometimes I'll say it has to be a 1-timer. I find if you don't say that, then the guys will, catch and release. What I will say about the 1-timer is, okay, there's no wind up. So then, you don't want guys, taking clap bombs off ankles in practice and that kind of thing. So, but yeah, that's basically in a nutshell, the rules of this particular one that we played. Pep, the one I saw with Pep, another way that he does it is he'll have transition players. So again, he'll have, obviously a box, and then you'll have neutral players here through the middle. And then you'll have, offensive, defensive players here in the middle here. And then you'll have his offensive guys out here. And again, hey, this is for soccer, right? And then obviously the neutral guys are with the offensive guys. And then now, plays are made into the middle and around. We're thinking of ways to be able to implement that. So could we do this with a power play? Could we do this where a power play where now we have our power play, but now once the defending team gets possession of it, then one player leaves, the other player comes in, just to get that transition type game come in. So I think that there's a lot of just the concept itself, I think is one that I think we're going to try to implement further into our game. And again, I've done it in the neutral zone. with no goalies. We've tried it different ways. I think the general concept, and you can see, like, I've already seen, different ways that it relates into the game, the actual game. So we're going to continue to do it. And as I say, there's so many different elements that I think you can have.
Great, thanks. What are some key points or trigger you give these on 2-on-1 in neutral zone and try and attacks?
So if I understand correctly, it's a D who's taking the 2-on-1?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Is it? Yes, she said yes.
Yeah. And so again, it depends, like,
defending.
Yeah. I've heard different, and it's obviously something that we discuss as well. I think, if I could draw, let's see if I have it. Let me go back to the 2-on-1. So then we have a visual as to what we're looking at here. So I think for us, a lot of times, I'm not crazy how this D, played it. For us, we'd like to make sure that we're able to take away this pass, so that, because realistically, a pass across to a shot is harder for him to play. If the goalie has an idea that you're going to try to take this pass away, even just talking with our goalies, with our goalie coaches, they prefer that. So we would, be a little bit further off the middle, and to be able to not to give him the idea that he has a breakaway, but to also be like, if you thought 75% I'm taking away the pass, and the 25% is I'm going to make him feel so he's not 100% confident that he could walk in. If that makes sense. That's our general. And again, it's obviously it depends on this guy as being a shooter. Obviously, this guy being an on-handed shot influenced this guy to come a little bit further this way. The fact that this guy isn't a one-time shot enabled him to come that way as well. If this was a one-timer shot and this guy was on his one-timer here, I would think that the D, and our suggestion is the D to be further here, because a pass, chances are this is going to be a one-timer that comes across that way. So in summary, we're probably 75-25 to take the pass to the backside, but not giving the breakaway, to be able to be in a position where they're not sure that you might surprise attack him, you might lunge out at him. Hopefully that answers the question.
Interesting. Thank you, she said. No problem, Ali. And it's interesting. Samuel Girard was talking about the 2-on-1 situation like that, and he was talking about his two hand on a stick, depending on one hand also as a D-man, and that he fakes on two hand, like he prefer on two hand because he's more able to cut the play if the puck is coming. With one hand, it's more difficult.
Yeah,
it was a good key point, I think.
Yeah, for sure. I could see that you'd be able to knock it out of the air. I mean, those guys are so good at their hand-eye. With one hand on the stick, you can imagine it's much more difficult to control your stick. When you have two and the guy tries to sauce it, or he tries to put a hard pass through your triangle, I think you're able to to his point.
And he was explaining about the triangle, that he was showing more space to force the player to try it, and he knows that he will cut it. So it was kind of
yeah. Well, and as an attacking player, that's what I'm looking for, right? I'm looking to try to make him think that I'm going, probably underneath the heel of his stick, but knowing full well that it's difficult for the right in front of his toes to be able to pass right in front of his toes. So it's the cat and mouse game for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks, Tom. Any other question, guys? Or girls? Sorry.
Hey guys, I had a quick question. It's Trevor Latowski here.
Yeah, go Trevor.
Thanks a lot, guys. It's been really good. Thanks, Don. I appreciate it. It's more of a time management question. As far like how often do you? I know, like I'm coaching in junior, and everyone's coaching at different levels. I know in pro you guys are busy, but sometimes we get into trouble. It's just we don't have a ton of time. So are these drills you're incorporating into the team practice, or how often are you getting maybe just a small number of players that you could kind of take them out for half hour and focus on things? Or is that, obviously it's always changing, but is there, I don't know, maybe just a template of maybe in a typical week, how often you're focused just on the skill stuff?
Yeah, that's a great question. And, we've had a little bit of a petri dish, if you will, with our time in Stockton. And we've tried all different types. We tried making a skills practice on the Monday. You have a whole week off, have it on the Monday, and then, tried it that way for a bit, with station work, with the whole group. And what we found with that, to be quite honest with you, is that it was tough when you had 4 or 5 days before a game, and you had, bring the guys out. I found the intensity. Yeah, there were certain guys that liked it, but for the most part, overall, I didn't find over the course of the year that there was the benefit that I would have liked to have seen. So what we ended up kind of evolving into is we'll go out before practice, and I'll take, and again, this is a trial and error as well. I'll go out a little bit before practice, and I'll generally do, I'll do some stuff, whether it's power play, obviously, but whether there's some shooting for the forwards, then, the goalie's on the one end and the D will conjugate in the middle. And so, but nothing too overly structured, because and I'll tell you why in a second. So what we've actually done now, and what we found, is that after practice, we'll have, obviously you do your traditional split where you have your D in the one end and your forward in the other side. And we'll run, 5-10 minutes. Right. But what we find is that now what we're doing is now we'll flood, and then we'll bring guys that will come back on and that will want a longer session after that. And that's where I find we'll do the most of our work is after practice. Because what I find is initially, what was happening is that practice ended up being 2.5 hours long, right? Or because you would have the guys that would, you'd have this rush to guys to come out, and then guys are looking at each other and they're like, oh, I probably should go out. And then they've got practice, and then you've got practice after practice, and just over the course of a season, it was too much. Mm-hmm. So I think just doing it specifically after practice, just you do the 5-10 minutes, and the 5-10 minutes is because there's certain guys that will want to get a couple shots, but for the most part, they've got enough of what they've had, and they'll want to get off. And then by flooding the ice, you give the guys a chance to decompress a little bit, and then they're able to come back on. And then now you're able to, because you've basically given them license to be like, if you want to be here, come. If you don't want to be, there's no, we're not telling you to come. Mm-hmm. And I just found the commitment, and because the guys that want to be there are there. And so then and then to me, it's been a much better recipe, because as I said, initially when we had the skill practice, and, we tried multiple different ways of, we split them up into groups of 8, and then we had 3 different sessions, and then it's just, to me, it's not sustainable. What I found was sustainable, and what I found was the best, was to be consistent, and this consistently, guys know after practice, they consistently do it. And, I can honestly say over the course of the year, we had the same guys that were coming out and working on their game. And the only guys that really weren't out coming on their game were maybe an older veteran guy. And I'll be honest with you, I was trying to convince him to ask him why he wasn't. And it was other things, babies not sleeping and things like that. But, but so that's my experience with it.
That's great. That's great. Yeah. I appreciate it, guys. Great job. Thank you. Thanks.
No problem.
Thank you, Trevor. So any other question? Casey said it was fantastic.
Okay, thanks.
So thank you, Dom. Really appreciate. It's always fun to hear some new stuff and some new ways of thinking about it. And I'll be more aware of some detail right now.
Yeah. Hey, as I say, it's not, I by no means have the answers. And I'd like, for those of you that, have suggestions on how, to improve or certain, I'd love to hear them as well, because that's kind of the whole point of this, right?
Yeah, exactly. All right, Dom, if you give me your permission, I can also send your email if people have some more questions. It's for you.
Sure. Yeah.
So they can ask some question, and I'll say thank you very much, and we'll just stop right
Perfect.
there. I'll call you, all right?
Sounds good. Okay.
So thank you very much. Bye, everyone, and have a great day.